Telling your child to stop being shy is the reason they are still shy. Welcome to the Tensai Show, where we discuss everything about raising genius kids. My name is Chris, and today I'm your host. And today we'll be talking about how to raise confident kids. So let me ask you something before we dive in. Is your child the quiet one, the one who hides behind your leg when visitors come? Maybe the one who will not raise their hand in class even though they know the answer? The one who lets other children take their toys without saying anything? If that's your child, type that's my child in the chat if you know exactly who I'm describing. Type that in the chat right now. Type that in the chat. So the first thing I need you to understand is that shyness and low confidence are not the same thing. A lot of parents use the words interchangeably. My child is shy, they have no confidence. That's not always true. Some children are naturally quieter. They observe before they participate. They think before they speak. They prefer small groups over big ones. That's temperament. That's how they're wired. There's nothing wrong with that. So being quiet is not a defect. Low confidence is different. Low confidence is when your child wants to participate but is afraid to. When they want to answer but are scared of being wrong. When they want to play with other kids but are terrified of rejection. When they have an opinion but swallow it because they think that their opinion does not matter. That is a belief system, not temperament. And the good thing about this is that belief systems can be changed. However, the problem is that most parents they try to fix shyness by pushing the child. Oh God, talk to them. Stop being shy. Why can't you speak up? And every time you say that, you're confirming what the child already believes. That something is wrong with me. I'm not normal. I'm not brave enough. I'm not good enough. You're trying to build them up with words that actually tear them down. And so let me tell you the adverse effects of what actually happens whenever you say stop being shy. What are these that you're labeling them? And children become their labels. They become the box that you put them in. If you call a child shy long enough, shy becomes their identity. It stops being something they feel and becomes something they are. And you cannot escape something that you believe that you are. You cannot escape it. Which is why it's so important not to box your child. Even if it's a good label, don't even do that in the first place. Right? But I digress. And so let's continue. Let's talk about what actually builds confidence in children. What are the three things that actually build confidence in children? I'm going to tell you what it is, and none of them actually involve pushing. Right? The number one, is something a lot of parents may not be willing to do, which is number one, let them struggle. Let them struggle. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Your child is struggling with their shoelaces and you want to tie them yourself because it's fast. The child is trying to pour water and you want to grab the jug because I beg, give me. Right? Or your child is trying to solve a problem and you want to give them the answer because watching them struggle is painful. But if you want to build confidence, you want to stop. Let them struggle because struggle followed by success is the single most powerful confidence builder in existence. And so every time your child does something hard and succeeds, a message gets deposited in their brain that tells them you're strong enough, you can handle hard things. But every time you rescue them, a different message gets deposited. It says, I can't do this without help. And so this is like two roads. One goes like this, other one goes like this. Over months and years, those deposits, they add up to either confidence or dependency. But every action that you're taking every day actively builds one side. Every action that you take every day actively builds one part. Right? And so, number two, the second thing that you should do is to praise the process, not the outcome. I always tell parents, you see this, you are so smart compliment. It's terrible. It's terrible for your child's confidence. I know that sounds like, I don't know what I'm saying, but research on this is clear. When you praise intelligence, children become afraid to try hard things because they feel like failing would mean that they are not that. And when they do, that's when you see the mother of all identity crisis. Because then they're like, are they people be lying to me? Is it that I'm not really smart? Right? They start questioning who they are. So they would rather now look smart. They optimize everything to look smart than actually learn. But instead, when you focus on praising effort, maybe you say, I saw how hard you worked on that. Praise their strategy. Oh, that was a clever way to try to solve this problem. Praise their persistence. Something like, you didn't give up even though this was frustrating. What this message is, they reinforce that value is not tied to results and it is tied to effort. And effort is something they can always control. That's number one. That's another thing that builds up your child's confidence. Then number three is give them real responsibility. Real responsibility. For some reason, a lot of parents feel like, oh, leave him as a child. They don't want to stress. They don't want to put their child in that position. But the truth is that you have to be able to give your child real responsibility. Give them things that matter. Let your 5-year-old set the table for dinner. Let your 7-year-old help cook a meal. Let your 10-year-old manage their own school bag. This is one part that our parents really did, where like as children, we were already doing some level of serious tasks. When a child is responsible for something real and they do it well, they develop what we call self-efficacy. Self-efficacy. And that's the belief that they can affect their world, that they have something to add, something to contribute. And that belief is the foundation of all confidence. I'm going to say this once, and it's a quote that I learned, and it has been so paramount for me, which is, I learned this from Alex Omozi, and every time, I meet up or I meet a situation like where the child is not confident, it's always the first thing that comes to my mind. And it is this familiar quote, which is, competence begets confidence. Confidence. When you know how to do something, you'll become confident in your ability to do that, and that confidence spreads all over to the rest. Right? But let's continue. Now, how many of you do everything for your child because it is faster, or because they will do it wrong, or because you just want it done properly? I know that a lot of us we fail to this one. We fail on this one, right? Because it's just faster. Come on, even me, I do it, right? And it's so bad because when you realize the consequences of this, it's not good at all. There was a boy I worked with. He was 9 years old. He would not speak in class. He would not raise his hands. He would not volunteer for anything. And his mother was worried sick. And this was a boy that used to be so outgoing as a toddler. But somewhere between the ages of 5 and 8, something changed with him. And so I asked the mom, what is he good at? Was like, oh, drawing. I was like, okay, can you let me see some of the drawings that this boy has done? And the mom was doing this reluctantly, as though like, there was nothing there. And so when his mom brought them out, they were remarkable. They were so detailed, they were so creative, it was full of imagination. And then I asked her, he is good at this? No, not really. After all, like, they are the ones that tell you, stop drawing, stop doing all of that. And I was like, why are you not championing this? And the mom was just looking at me. I called the boy. I said, do you know that you are good at drawing? He said, no, please give me my listing. Please give me my listing. Right? For some reason, the boy felt like this was not proper work. Right? But what we now did over the next couple of months was I took him to an art fair. I were able to get him to draw more. And as he was drawing, other people were telling him, wow. Other people were giving him that validation. And before we knew what was happening, he started to draw, release more, even did more bolder pieces and all of those things. And by the end of the term, even though he's doing more that term, his improvement, his confidence improved a lot. Why? Because he now knew, he now felt that he actually was good at something. And so we did not fix his confidence by forcing him to speak up. He was fixed by making his drawings or the thing that he was good at to matter. Right? His mom at this point had started hanging his work at home, and she showed them off and all of those, and those things actually helped him. And he started speaking up. He started teaching children how to draw. He started having confidence. Remember, competence beget confidence. And so what I want you to do today is I want you to find the thing that your child is naturally drawn to, not what you want them to be, or what they gravitate towards right now, what they are good at. Maybe it's drawing, maybe it's building, maybe it's telling stories. Whatever it is, make that thing matter. Ask them to show you, ask them to teach you. Because it does confidence, it does not come from telling a child they are confident. It comes from them experiencing their own competence. And so give them a chance to be competent at something that they already love. I hope that this actually, you made sense. It made sense to you. You actually learned something from this, because every day, every weekday, we talk about the things that actually matter in raising your children. So if you love this and you want to gain more, make sure you subscribe, and then also make sure you definitely know. Is it on the link? I mean, tap on the bell in the next. Yes.